Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Corsair Summer Tour 2013. I'm LD. I'm not solo casting this one. Lumi is actually giving blood. What a good Samaritan. That Lumi. Such a trooper. I do have a co-caster, though. I'll be joined by Clairvoyance, and I'm going to be casting Mousesports versus Kaipi. It's actually a doubleheader for Kaipi. Immediately following this match, they jump into the Defense Grand Finals. Toby, happy birthday to him, by the way, is going to be casting that, so really looking forward to seeing Navi versus Kaipi after this game, but it's a big day for them. It's a big day for their fans. With that being said, the draft is now underway. Let's hop into it. Of course, as mentioned, I am not alone. I should be joined by Clairvoyance. How you doing, buddy?
LD, it's a little bit early in the morning. I haven't really had a cup of coffee or anything like that. But let us start off the stream a little spicy. Bring back the old, bring back the customary, and say finally, finally,
Finally, what?
She is back to the BTS stream. What's up, LD?
Hi. How are you? Well, I'm glad you're bringing the energy because I definitely need my coffee still. But this is an exciting day, I think, for Kaipi fans especially, and for Mousesports, an important match as well. Loser of this match will finish 5th place in the tournament. I believe outside of the money, 4th place will be up for grabs for whoever wins this match. Guaranteed top 4 finish for them. It is a loser's bracket match, so the loser does go home. One more thing before we dive into the draft is, if you haven't already heard, Corsair is doing a giveaway. You can head over to gc.corsair.com and enter for your chance to win a fully loaded gaming PC. It actually looks pretty nice from what I've seen. And they're also giving away some Dota TV tickets. Can get your Elgato views that way. But with all that, all those shenanigans out the door, Clairvoyance, whenever you see Kaipi, you see Spirit Breaker bands.
Oh yeah, man. It's all about the space cow, for real though. But
you're a convert too, huh? Bruno's getting to everyone. It's
bro,
bad.
I'm gonna be honest. I've always been a believer of the cow. The funny thing is, just when 6.78 was implemented, you saw a couple of heroes being experimented here and there. Tree being one of the most prominent ones, which is kind of baited off the scene entirely from a specific number of teams, just because it forces a team to play that kind of play style every game, and not everybody wants to either adapt to it or play with it. So we see that's the reason why Tree, one of the strongest picks, arguably, is actually not getting a single mention here.
Yeah,
and
no.
As a whole, in the new patch, there are just so many more heroes that are viable that teams have not yet either experimented with or have experimented with and won situationally, but kind of save it as pocket strategies. I mean, TI3 is coming up, and I know for a fact that these Kaipi guys, for example, who I talk to every day, they do have strategies up their sleeves. Of course, they're not actually going to TI3, so they're not going to have an opportunity to use them.
Are they auctioning them away to the highest bidder? Is anybody in contention for the Kaipi strat book?
Oh, you know how it is, man.
Is EE-sama up for sale?
EE-sama, oh man, EE-sama, he's off in a world of his own. I don't think anybody can compare. But I want to mention one thing. The new thing as of late has been picking up the OD, because his power of just dominating the mid lane is pretty much a guarantee just by his innate spell set. Now, Visage, of course, also another first pick here, arguably one of the best supports in the game as we speak, with all of his abilities just transitioning so well into the late game, but also being a heavy disabler and a monstrous teamfight force with that 4-second soul assumption comparable to a Finger of Death every time it's up. And you have the bats that just do ridiculous amount of damage and are pretty much more efficient than any other supports as a whole, because if those two bats start out with the maximum damage, they can take out any target. The Kunkka will be the pickup on Kaipi so far, and they'll have a really team fight oriented lineup. But as the Rubik gets picked up, I just want to say that this shift towards OD and Visage's early game, it's a thing that we've seen in a lot of teams. But to be frank about it, it's not something I've seen Mousesports do a lot. Because if I recall correctly, Mousesports are usually the ones that give up the OD and take something else for Fata at the mid lane, whether it's the Lifestealer, or if the OD was actually picked to counter their Fata Puck, for example, then that's when they decide to switch up their lanes brilliantly and put Fata in the long lane with a couple of the heroes and start playing unorthodox playstyles to throw the opposition off their game. So I kind of find it odd that they would pick up the OD first. But they are at the boot camp now, and I do believe that they are going to try out new things here and there. So.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of teams experimenting. Virtus Pro has been playing nothing but Rat Dota, which I just find deliciously ironic. And the best part is they were beating Fnatic with it yesterday. Everyone's experimenting right now, and certainly Mousesports, one of those teams that is going to TI3. They should be as well. So, looking at the overall draft so far, Kaipi get more lockdown. Triple melee, quad melee lineup for them. This is where Mousesports, maybe you look towards something like an Enigma to round out the draft if they want. I mean, just something that can really counter the melee heroes could be an option for them. But they already have the Prophet. They have very strong laning heroes, the Visage, the OD. And you get to the mid game for this team. I guess my concern for Mousesports, their lineup feels very inactive. These are, for the most part, heroes that sit back and farm and pull, and maybe Visage tries to set up kills in the lanes, but OD isn't going to get a whole lot done except winning the mid lane, which is nice. He's not going to gank. Same for the Nature's Prophet for the most part. Generally, when we see Koikfa handling it, he starts in the off lane. He'll normally just block camps a lot, delay the pulls of the enemy supports, but then generally goes back into the jungle, gets a Midas, and tries to farm. I feel like if Mouse plays this too passively, Kaipi, they'll get the Shadow Blades up on the Kunkka, the Alchemist, and they're just going to go to town on Mousesports in the mid game.
Yeah, it's going to be most certainly scary for Mousesports if they don't get on the aggressive very quick and pretty much just secure every bit of farm they can in the early stages of the game. Now, I'm wondering exactly how they're going to play this lineup. I mean, the time I've seen it personally, it's going to go to the mid lane, and especially some of the Kunkka plays coming out as of the last couple of days, I do believe that it's going to revitalize that exact same scenario.
So we're looking at, you think, Arteezy Kunkka mid then?
Yeah, that's definitely an A-sama Kunkka mid. And
too many Samas.
Oh man, just way too many Samas on Kaipi. They're all deities in their own right.
Yeah.
But really, it's gonna be the Bone 7 Darkseer. I mean, that's a guarantee.
It's probably Sing Naga.
Yeah, most likely. There is the possibility that they're still gonna pick him a hero, and they're gonna do something like something a little bit odd or different, so to speak. That Alchemist could be a farmer just as well as it could be a carry. Pardon me, a support. Yeah, and it's more likely that it's going to be a farmer here.
My only concern for Kaipi is they have 4 melee heroes. They have like every single one of these heroes needs a decent amount of levels, and ideally you'd like to get them all farmed. Can they really get any greedier than running that Naga as a support? I mean, you can't run Naga and Alk as supports, can you? I don't think so. That's something I feel Mousesports could really punish.
Yeah, it's definitely a very tricky line. The thing is, you know what happens in these scenarios? The Razor's actually the perfect pickup and pretty much a direct counter, just because, as you said, melee heroes, they try to close the distance, and what more does Razor need than closing the distance?
And this hero, so good against melee heroes. I mean, I was mentioning melee counters. Well, I mentioned Enigma, but they already have Prophet, so it probably wouldn't make sense to get a hero that's likely to be in the jungle, but you get a Razor now, and how does Kaipi actually stop him from stealing damage? They all have to be in the middle of the fight.
That's right. It's going to be really tough. They're going to have to rely a lot on the Darkseer surging, as well as the Siren initiations to get the favorable position. And all of a sudden, KP, yeah, they must feel hard-pressed a little bit anyway to pick up a ranged support of some sort. But it's not exactly mandatory. I mean, I've seen them kind of do this kind of thing before where they have like a triple melee tri-lane. And just with the Siren, as well as the sheer tank ability of strength heroes, especially coming out in the early stages of the game, you can kind of run over certain heroes, and that's kind of why I fear a little bit for Mousesports entirely, because if they get baited into this situation where they're aggressive tri-lane, but yeah, never mind, forget that thought. As soon as they see the Enchantress, they probably should realize that there's no way they're contesting the aggressive lane. So KP will actually get the farm that they're looking for in the early stages, and hopefully, if the OD does not crush mid too hard, they might be able to transition to the mid game where they have the dominant force of the fighting power in the mid game with regards to team fights.
So we'll see if Mousesports take your advice and head for the defensive tri-lane. But with that being said, Black playing the Razor, headed towards the bottom lane with Cinder. It looks like they may want to set up some wards. Maybe they will go aggressive in the end.
Ooh.
It's the Germans versus the North American-European mix. It's Mousesports versus Kaipi. We've said we see a little chit-chat from Eternal Envy in all chat. But we'll introduce the teams now. Mousesports, they haven't quite been in the most impressive form since EMS. Still a solid team. They've had some huge games on the back of Koikfa, but they've also had some rather disappointing performances. Let's see which Mousesports we get today. Cinderin, handling your support rubric, observers and sentries for him. Black on the carry Razor. We have Pos playing the support Visage, headed towards the aggressive tri-lane. That leaves Fata, solo mid OD, should have a pretty good time against Arteezy with that matchup. And then Koikfa will get the safe lane farm as the Nature's Prophet. And then we've got your boys, Kaipi. I'll let you introduce them.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, so we have EE Sama, number one alchemist in the world, playing alchemist, of course. We have Bone 7, number one Darkseer in the world, playing Darkseer. We have Sing Sing, number one Naga Siren support in the world, playing the Siren, the safe lane. And we have Pylai Dai, the best micro after Ake, playing the jungle. And we have Artur, the best player in the world, playing the mid lane. On which server is this? I believe Luxembourg.
Yeah, I think it's one Luxembourg, one Europe, and then I'm not sure if it's a coin flip for the final game, but we can double check that actually in the lobby chat since we have a pause here. Everyone, you were spamming me to get me to cast with you. EU/US East, and then a coin flip. So this game's EU, next game will be US East, and then game 3, if it comes to one, will be a coin flip.
I see, I see. So yeah, if AGOG does come down to pass a couple of questionable torrents here and there, I do believe that there will be messages regarding pings.
There may be some NA Dota posts if that comes to pass here or there.
Oh, there's always one of those, man.
No matter what happens. I've noticed the Kaipi live report threads get like 10 times the posts of any other team. Even the other North American teams, it seems. Kaipi's just got that extra level of interest attached to them.
Kaipi is really, what can you say about it? They're the Charlie Sheen of the esports.
You can't look away. I mean, you want to look away sometimes.
It's just, they're dazzling. They're
You can't.
Glamorous everywhere you look at, man. All 4 angles of the triangle.
Everything is illuminated with this team, that's for sure. And it looks like we'll have it on pause, guys. It's going to be game 1 of a best of 3. Winner of this match, guaranteed top 4 finish. We'll be moving on to play IC Cup. IC Cup. I wanted to say ICC Cup or something like that because Lumi keeps on saying it. Man, I gotta say, I won't complain about having a break from that because he's a bad influence. I'm like losing my control over the English language with every waking hour and every passing moment. But heading into this match, heading into this draft, Kaipi are running 4 melee heroes. I think there's just a lot of pressure on this Enchantress in the laning stage. Pylai Dai, you mentioned how Mousesports probably wouldn't look to go aggressive seeing that pick, but that assumes that Pylai Dai is striking fear into their hearts in the Enchantress, and apparently he's not, because they're heading towards the aggressive tri-lane. I feel a lot of this game and how it develops just really rests on how much he can get done in the laning stage.
Oh yeah, most certainly. His rotations are going to have to be immaculate in order for things to come to pass for Kaipi, of course. They have the melee heroes, so it's going to be pretty easy to abuse with Razor. But overall, the reasons I fear aggressive tri-lanes as a whole is that execution always comes down to a huge factor. And when you have squishy heroes like Rubik, you see this guy 511 movement speed, pardon me, health
That would be
bar.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fast. But 290 movement speed, which is subpar. It's sub the average, as well as considering the fact that he has 0 armor to start with. All of a sudden, you get 1 Riptide on you, and then get followed up with an unstable concussion, which actually does physical damage. You are just going to pop. There's nothing that's going to stop you from dying. And so it's going to have to be coming down to phenomenal positioning coming out of Mousesports. And they have demonstrated really strong aggressive challenges in the past. But it's always a very gray area when it comes to aggressive challenges and positioning as a whole because it's never perfect.
And the nice thing for them right now is Mousesports, they'll actually be able to block off the big camp here. I think this was spotted by Kaipi. You see the frantic pings from Eternal Envy. Wants to get that dewarded for his Enchantress. Pylai Dai does have a Sentry Ward, but he won't get to the big camp before the 30-second mark, so that camp's blocked, the pole camp's blocked as well, and this is the one concern if you're on a bit of a greedier, weaker tri-lane, is if all your camps get blocked, you can't pull, your Enchantress has to go all the way around to get a Centaur creep over here, then, well, you'll be slowed down quite a bit.
Yeah, so Pylai Dai is actually going to go to, the creep camp number 1 as you have indicated. He will get the Centaur, and whether he rotates immediately with that or not is the big question that's on my mind. Either way, he's going to be able to bring up some changes within the next minutes.
So top lane, it'll be Bone 7 on his Darkseer against a safe lane Prophet. Now this is a matchup that Bone 7 should have fun with. I think this is, a Darkseer looks at that, and if you're a Darkseer player, you say, man, this is the matchup I wanted. No matter how good the Nature's Prophet is, it's really hard to come out on top there.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if it's possible, to be completely honest. If the Darkseer is doing what he's doing right now, which is just pulling the jungle camp, which he's basically getting either 1.5 to 2 times the EXP. But hold that thought because at the bottom lane, the pings have come out. Tango has been needing to breach into the trees. However, they will find no wards there, but the Centaur is on the pursuit.
Well, Cindered's going to waddle away. He's got a lift if necessary, trying to bait that out perhaps. So not looking like they won't be able to. Black continue to retreat out. It is buying Eternal Envy a little bit of space to farm. Maybe he can get his first creep of the game. It's now, I believe, the 3rd creep wave about to arrive, and still struggling to find that CS. He gets his first CS. Boom, shot for him. And now things looking good, but off lane, you expect that to go well for the Darkseer. The mid lane should still probably go the way of the OD, based on what I've seen. I mean, you've always got Tidebringer Astral Imprisonments won't prevent you from getting that damage. But when I've seen this matchup in the past, generally, as he so often does, OD still comes out on top, even though Kunkka is probably one of the better heroes to deal with him.
Yeah, I actually think Kunkka is really good against OD, and considering the fact that RTZ got pulled 2 pieces of region at the start, it's going to be really difficult for Fada, even though he did get pulled as well and started with no talisman. There are some other heroes that do really well against OD, such as Sniper, that it's pretty much just never been touched of, and some teams probably have a strategy around that. But
then you're running a Sniper mid, which poses its own interesting set of issues if the enemy team decides to gank. But
yeah.
I love Sniper. As boring of a hero as he is, he's a lot of fun to play in pubs.
He's a lot better than some of the heroes that we're seeing, man.
Yeah, OD's pretty boring
really
too, for the most part. So overall, looks like Kaipi isn't dying in the laning stage. Bone 7 is just crushing this off lane. Already 20 CS, even though some of those are jungle creeps. That's pretty ridiculous for him. The mid lane, going well for Arteezy, and they're not getting any kills bottom. They are stopping, for the time being at least, they're stopping Envy from farming, but they've got a lot of other damage dealers. It's not like this is a one-position Alk with 4 very kind of passive or low damage supports. I mean, even if Envy has basic items, I feel that could be more than enough come mid-game. So the laning stage actually looking pretty good for Kaipi thus far.
Oh yeah, most certainly. Another thing with aggressive trialings when you use 3 ranged heroes is that all of a sudden, when you're putting so much force and dedicating so much as a whole just to deny out creeps and pressure the enemy carry, you're not getting very good EXP because as soon as you get one denied on you, you're getting absolutely nothing as ranged heroes. And even if you don't get things denied on you, this is the result. Like, basically 3 heroes in the lane at level 2, about to hit level 3. However, Eternal Envy, he's already level 3. And he's going to keep getting EXP as the lane pushes because he is the melee hero. And he will be able to survive without the burst damage follow-ups coming out of the Visage as well as the Rubik. So I think what KP are doing is really smart, especially this rotation to the mid lane. If they can secure the kill here, this is going to be really huge.
Astral was just used offensively. It's cooling down for 13 seconds. It's a big wraparound. Might buy enough time for that Astral to cool down again, but even if it does, might just be Torrent setup. And here comes the smoke. They're still wrapping around, patiently waiting on the sidelines. This Kaipi, this could be your first blood. They might dive with the creep wave. Fata very far back, though. Are there any TPs? Rubik, no TP. Visage, no TP. Fata's walked into a net. Maybe into trouble. There is a Riptide as well. There's no Tidebringer mana, and it looks like Fata's actually going to live. Now Arteezy, Grave chilled up. They do 3-hero smoke gank. They force out the entire Mousesports tri-lane aside from Razor to rotate in, but no deaths for either side just yet. Now the lift up highlight die. Already used his heal. Could be in trouble here. Dropping fast. First blood goes to Mousesports. Well, they needed Torrent mana, and unfortunately, Arteezy just did not have it. And I think I might have lost my man, Clairvoyance.
Yeah, I had to just I had to pull out a sneeze for a second.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, that big kill right there at the mid lane, especially big because if the rotations that failed was able to just get out safely, it would have been fine because they forced 2 TPs out of the trialing. But as it stands, they were able to secure the first blood, and Fada actually got a rune as a result to refill his bottle. So he's in a fantastic position now. Arteezy, however, in the mid lane once again without any mana to cast any spells. So while Fada is a little bit underhanded in terms of EXP, he'll be able to catch up relatively shortly.
It's interesting. Arteezy actually went for, I believe he went for this Bracer before even getting his boots, but he's gone for a Bracer so he gets a little bit extra damage and just survivability in the laning stage. With the Quelling Blade as well, I mean, it makes the last hitting fairly straightforward for him. 81 damage, even with all his install. It doesn't matter because he's a strength hero. And he's got Tidebringer. You got to say, he's doing a really nice job of just managing a pretty tough matchup. Typical Arteezy, though. He's always finding a way.
Yeah, it's as you said, man. It has a lot of things to do with the matchup as a whole. I mean, OD a direct counter to int heroes as well as mana users, and Kunkka just happens to have one of the best passes when it comes to right-clicking and doing damage and harassing and so on and so forth. So Fada's actually popped the Invis rune. He's gonna go on the aggressive. Wow, let's see if he can get the kill.
There's an OD ult, not being deployed just yet. Fata prepping. Drops the ult now. Arteezy runs north. No way out for him. That's 2 kills the way of Mouse. But Fata tried to TP out, can't get out. Nice Satyr blast there. I think he would have escaped without that last nuke. So good micro by Pylai Dai. They do secure the kill in the end, but it's a 1v1 matchup and 2 heroes of Kaipi devoted to the middle lane. And while that's happening, well, Envy's on a bit of an island here. He is 3-0, 6.5 minutes in. Sama, even though his team's doing decently, he can't be too happy.
Yeah, he's not in the most favorable position, but once again, I don't really feel that it's bad for him. The fact that he's keeping the Razor in the lane means that Mousesports have one of their most... Oh, hold that thought. Well, I completely missed that one.
No, that's alright. I caught it, but Pylai Dai trying to offensive jungle, runs right into a Visage and a Rubik. The zaps there from the Rubik lifts, and then, well, you get Soul Assumption, you die pretty fast. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and that's now 3 kills going the way of Mousesports, and I didn't feel like the lanes were going that well for them, but finding all these kills definitely helped to even up the game, and 7 minutes in, they're actually leading by over 1,000 gold.
And the other thing that's surprising to me is that Bone 7, normally by now, he's a player who likes to rotate around the map, or at least go on the aggressive against a hero like Nature's Prophet. But I feel like Kaipi is actually able to just have free reign. Oh man, just missed another one at the
No,
mid lane.
it's
while I was talking.
I got your
Okay.
back, brother. We're good.
Oh dear.
Yeah, three heroes descend on the middle lane, and Arteezy is sad. But
Oh.
Envy's still not farming, but they have a Darkseer who's going to have one of the fastest mechs you'll ever see. He already has
And
the
Black in
chainmail
the
up.
bottom lane now.
Oh, can't even stop for a moment. He's still doing a lot of damage. I don't think they can actually go in.
Yeah, he didn't even bother channeling the concoction. I guess they realized that with the unstable current, if it was present, then they wouldn't have been able to follow up to the purge.
And,
But
and he
regardless,
also
yeah.
had 7 magic stick charges, so pretty dangerous to go in.
Yeah, Razor's a really tanky hero when it comes to burst regen.
So overall, I mean, Kaipi not dominating the laning stage by any means, but I think the key thing for me is Bone 7. He hasn't shut down the Nature's Prophet whatsoever. There's actually 49 CS on that Prophet because Bone 7 was just doing the creep skipping, but he's going to have an early mech. Hold that thought, bottom lane, they will bring down Eternal Envy. Great rotation from Koikfa. Man, he's having a nice start now, 53 CS, and you do that against the Darkseer off lane. Part of it was Bone 7's choice. We see some Darkseers in that matchup. Instead of doing just the maximum farm style where you just constantly pull and farm the pull camp, they'll just dive with the wave with double Ion Shell and go for more pressure. But Bone 7, a little more passive style from him, and it's been punished a bit. That Prophet now moving around the map. Fata maybe going to find Bone 7 here as well. There's your Astral. Buying time. He's got the ult again. It's going to be another kill most likely. Bone 7 really in trouble. He's got a surge in 3 seconds. Fata, just a few more orbs hits required. Now the ult. 6-1. Mousesports having a field day early on. Meanwhile, bottom lane. Boat comes through. Black dropping fast. He will be able to pop the magic stick charges. Won't be enough though. Now Syndred throwing back Eternal Envy, but despite Eternal Envy's abysmal farm, he's still an Alchemist. He's got a lot of burst damage. Arteezy with the nice rotation down bottom lane. Now a stun being channeled. A TP will be canceled. It's going to be 3 kills going the way of Kaipi. They were once trailing 6-1. All of a sudden it should be 6-4. Maybe not though. Hold that thought as Pos. Grave chills and looks to run. Now salving up. He's got the boots. But tangoing, rather quelling blading through the trees is Arteezy. There's your net as well. The stun being channeled. This will be the entire tri-lane getting wiped at long last. Although Pos made them really work for it there.
Yeah. A wild goose chase that he forced them into the Radiant jungle as Black is able to secure enough time to get back into the lane. And here it goes, back onto the static link. Hold that thought at the top lane. They're pursuing out Koipa for the first time.
Oh no, Imp splashing through. There's your wall as well. A really early point in that from Bone 7. He's already level 9. It's not even that early. He's just ridiculously leveled. Level 9, nearly 10 at 10 minutes in. I mean, sure, didn't pressure the Prophet, but he's reaping the benefits now. Headdress recipe is in. He's already got the buckler. This is going to be around a 10-minute mech, tranquil boot, soul ring, and a tier 1 top. I mean, that is a lot of farm for a Darkseer. And
Oh yeah, that's definitely daunting.
And even though Envy's been shut down, you get this mech, and Alchemist is a hero who could just get involved in the fights early with minimal farm.
Right.
So they could easily still turn this around.
Oh, most certainly. And you look at his skill build, the guy is built to farm, especially in the mid stages of the game, with the 4 points in acid as well as 3 points in unstable concoction. Completely omitting the Grievel's Greed, assuming that he's not going to get the CS he's looking for early, and not just trying to offer the playstyle to play catch-up the whole time. He's actually going to go around farming heroes as opposed to farming creeps, and I do believe that that is a brilliant decision coming out of EE-sama. So I think it's a smart thing once again. And Bone 7, as you said, he's already got the mech up, and just imagine, if he had not died to Fada solo earlier, this mech would have been even earlier.
Yeah, it's still an 11-minute mech. Boots of Speed, Soul Ring. That's pretty ridiculous. Did disassemble the Tranquil Boots there. But for Mousesports, here's where things start to become maybe a little bit problematic, is if they're forced to defend their towers, they don't really have that much counter push. They've got a level 2 Plasma Field, Prophet Ult, and a level 3 Fade Bolt. That's not a whole lot against a mech.
Oh yeah, this is exactly why I was kind of fearing for Mousesports if they did opt for the aggressive tri-lane. All of a sudden, you have these supports that are kind of under-leveled, and they don't have the ability to transition to the mid-game in dominant fashion as they would like to. For example, you see this hero like Rubik. The last time they dove the enemy safe lane here at the bottom, he was the first one to go down. And all of these heroes, to an extent, as soon as they get vacuum walled, they're all paper. They're all just glorified versions of creeps because they can do nothing but wag their tails and run at the sight of a whole bunch of strength heroes. coming out with massive AoE damage. So once again, they'll have to rely on a lot of single target pickoffs, and it looks like they're definitely going on the hunt here.
They're hunting Eternal Envy. They Grave Chill him, maybe just trying to force a reaction, and
Oh,
Sing
the
says,
sleep.
I will react, drops the sleep, setting up for Pos, prepping for the Eternal Envy stun. Now it'll come out on Pos. It does decent damage. The familiar stuns are there. One of those hit 3. That's big time. Now Cinder stealing in snare, throwing it back around, but here comes Darkseer, has the mech, drops the wall. This could be trouble for quite a few. From the backside comes Black. There's your OD. He throws out the ult, doing decent damage, not yet finding a kill. That stun hits
that
2.
double stun.
Almost gets Cinder and killed. Now Bone 7 surging forward. Oh, Black just not on the same page as Cinder in there. The good news is Koikfa will find a kill, I believe, with his ultimate. Actually TPing into the tower. He's being pursued out. In trouble now. Bone 7 on the hunt. Backs him back. 7 make it 8-7. This game was 6-1, and all of a sudden Kaipi, they've gone 7-1 to turn it into an 8-7 game. Now they're leading. And that, my friend, is the power of an early Darkseer mech.
Oh, most certainly, man. That mech playing a huge role, but most certainly the nice placement coming out of the wall, as well as the double vacuum usage in the team fight. Just a really stellar play coming out of Bone 7. And honestly, it's something that was somewhat expected. So long as Bada's not able to get the huge items that he wants to transition from the early laning phase into the mid game and allow him to be a continuously dominant presence, he's not going to be able to fight as much as he wants to as a whole, because OD in the team fights, while it dishes out a lot of damage, you could consider it somewhat of a glass cannon. Has to rely a lot on good positioning as well as well-timed astral imprisonment. And if your team is getting caught out like that, unfortunately, you just don't have the spell set to back yourself up. So very nice out of Kaipi to abuse that situation.
So if you're Mousesports right now, your aggression's been halted, Kaipi have the mech, Kaipi've got the better 5-man lineup, that's not really debatable, and you're somewhat on the back foot. What's your game plan if you're Mousesports? Seems like they're the ones who are no longer in the driver's seat, the team that kind of has to react. Do they just sit back and farm? Should they be going for smoke ganks? What do you think's the best game plan for them here?
They actually have to sit back and farm. The reason being is, if ideally the smoke gank with succession would have been perfect, but the problem is, once again, you get baited into a team fight like that, and all of a sudden your smoke gank goes to naught, and you have to just sit back and farm, trying to wait, trying to react perfectly. And in the event that you do, you can actually go for the Roche relatively early with the Nature's Prophet as well as the OD's damage, and that's probably the best game plan right now, because as it stands, as soon as you start losing out on kills, like we saw a minute ago, all of a sudden your team fight arsenal, it really shows its true colors. And basically that just means that it's just not there against the lineup of Kaipi right now.
So Kaipi did smoke 2 heroes up through the middle lane, around, wrapping to the top, and now they'll farm Sing a bit here. They do have an Enchantress lurking in the trees. Pylai Dial pop his Arcane Boots from cover of smoke around the trees. Very cute little play by him, but middle lane, hold that thought. We'll see an Astral Imprisonment here. No follow-up from Pos. Just chilling mid for the time being. So a very passive game. I guess the good news for Mousesports, as far as it being passive, is Eternal Enemy does not have any points in Grievel's Greed. So they're not being punished for this passivity as much as you normally would be.
Most certainly, if he was getting the free farm with the Grievel's Greed, as you said, it would have been disastrous for them. The late game would have just come that much sooner. Now, I'm wondering, a lot of things are actually going to come down to this man right here, who's been getting the trial lane support, Black himself. He's still level 8, so he is actually ridiculously under-leveled just because he has to keep going to the long lane, and you're always going to miss up the XP by chance just due to the fact that you're rotating that way. And it's going to be on Black as well as Koipa, just because Koipa is on the safe lane farm, as well as the fact that he's a Nature's Prophet, and he was on the safe lane farm once again, which means he's going to be relied upon to do a lot more things than a normal Nature's Prophet would have been able to do in the long lane. And yeah, Black, as we see now, he's going to be just sitting back in the lane. He cannot walk up anywhere close just because of the potential aggression or the potential dangers coming out of the unseen parts of the map. So I do fear that Mousesports, yeah.
And the funny thing is, this is with a lane ward behind the tower and a rune ward. He still can't feel safe. Has to be worried about the smoke ganks.
Yeah, the Enchantress in the jungle as well as the rotation so far, it seemed like it was everlasting out of Kaipi. So I don't blame him for playing it very safe at this point. But when you're forced to play this kind of safe style, especially with a hero like Razor, it's going to be scary. And yeah, they're just going to show themselves just to pretend and say that you can't walk up in the lane, we're here. And looks like it's not just the two of them. They're rotating more heroes in. Now I'm wondering if RTZ will actually TP in to transition this into a 5-man push.
Now the good news for Mousesports is during this 4 to 5 minutes of kind of passive play from both teams, they have gotten a mech of their own. The issue though is Bone 7's got a Blink Dagger. Now you have Son of the Siren into Vacuum, into Torrent, into Kunkka ult. If Kaipi's teamwork is there, I don't know if that mech's going to be enough, Clairvoyance. It feels like they need a whole lot more. So for Mousesports, I think this is really where you want to split push, take only good fights if Kaipi overextend, play defensively, and just try not to clump. If you clump against Kaipi, oh man, that's just gonna be too painful.
Yeah, it's gonna be disastrous, to say the least. And I think your words are resonating in Koipa most certainly, as he was able to pressure and force a TP rotation to the top lane as he was split pushing. Now he's going to take his talents back into the jungle as his Midas does come up. However, Black on the aggressive, or it looks like it was some
It's
sort of semi-aggressive.
it's actually mid lane where they've gone in Arteezy. They have another OD ult, dropped again, and Arteezy will fall. Hasted OD sees Bone 7 and says, good, come at me. I don't know if he really wants to take that fight. He will back off, but Cinderin's finally getting his boots. We're now 17 minutes in, and he just now purchased them after securing that kill for his team. I mean, that's some true support work right there. Jesus.
Now Sting's rotating to the mid lane. He does have his mana boots as well, and things are actually coming out. Cinderin has stolen the Torrent. That is a really nice spell to steal with Rubik, especially because it has no cast animation and synergizes so well with telekinesis. But the longer Kaipi's heroes stay in the mid lane right now, the longer Frauda is going to be able to do what he's doing right now, which is just steal all the in. And they might even re-engage. They don't have the ultimate though.
There's your song, but it's used defensively. Not the ideal engagement for Kaipi. Are they going to look to go in on the boundary of it? They don't have their Kanka. Arteezy just a bit too late to the engagement. He'll throw out a Torrent, won't connect, and that will be Q for Fatsa to back up. That Song of the Siren, I mean, it's a pretty important setup spell for them. Even though they've got Vacuum into Boat, the Boat takes so long to get there that it can be hard to actually land it. So not having Song for Kaipi, probably going to be forced to play quite a bit more defensively for the next 2 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, it's actually going to hurt their team fight just a little bit, especially because Mousesports are now aware that the Song of the Siren is not up, which means they can actually overextend or just simply get up a little bit more than they normally could and still get away scot-free. So all of a sudden, Fada's now rotating to the top lane.
God.
This time it's not a haste, it's a double damage, and he found somebody.
Bambi's in trouble. Pylon Knight popped the heal. I don't think it's going to matter. Maybe, just maybe it will. There's your Astral. The Courier did fall. Radiant Courier had no way out. The Wormelon goes down. I'm just saying, if that was Elgato, probably would have lived. But no such luck here for Kaipi. Only carrying Dust and Observer, so not the biggest deal. But Courier death, that is going to hurt.
Yeah, and you know what? The big play out of that was that Bone 7 was able to blink just in the range of Mechanism, and he was able to pop it, which saved Pylai Die. But Bone 7, unaware of his own... Oh, never mind. He's very aware.
Very aware. Hyper aware, in fact. Someone did have his coffee this morning. And
yeah,
also Bone 7 did a nice job of fogging Mousesports because the Prophet ult was bouncing through, and I think if that hit, he probably would have died anyway. But I believe was able to dodge it with a good juke there. So Eternal Envy going kind of just utility support Alk, 49 CS. He's picked up a medallion. I imagine we'll still see him go for something like a Shadow Blade, right? Because I feel they kind of would benefit just from that initiation and burst damage. But what are you thinking here for EE? Does he go BKB? Does he go Shadow Blade? Like, what sort of style should he take this game?
Well, it's a funny thing that you mentioned that. EE-sama actually despises Shadow Blade on Alchemist because Shadow Blade, like many other items that are involved with snowballing and killing heroes, is a double-edged sword. Right? Sometimes you see alchemists that buy Shadow Blade. They try to go around, get kills. They don't get kills, and all of a sudden they try to rely on this Grievous Greed to catch up after they just die 5 times in a row for no reason. And you can't because all you have is a Shadow Blade. And by that point, most of the time the opposition will have dusts and gems and sentries to be able to counteract you. So he doesn't like the fact that it baits you into scenarios that you don't really want to be in. And he really loves the Battle Fury build, but I do believe that it is kind of late, especially when he went to the Medallion build, so...
You know, the funny thing is, as late as it is, if Alk did get a Battle Fury, say around like the 23-minute mark, by 30 minutes he'll have his next item and a half, so in that sense could catch up. But it is after 20 minutes, and he's not even building one right now, so...
Oh, Pylai Dai got spotted.
Yeah, Fata's found him. The big bad OD's on the hunt. No way out here for Pylai Dai. One more orb to bring him down. Cinderin getting a much-needed kill. Suddenly, the poor little Rubik who didn't have boots at 60 minutes has arcane boots and some gold in his pocket. I wouldn't say Cinderin's happy, but he's definitely cheering up a bit. And now on the back of that, Mousesports, they're going to look to push this top lane. Meanwhile, Envy dropping pretty fast in the jungle. He'll actually TP. Looks like they want to mount the defense. Remember, they've got Song. They've got Blink, Vacuum. They have a boat as well. Is this teamwork going to be just right? Fata TPing out, and I was looking forward to a huge clash. No such luck.
Yeah, that was just brilliant. Mousesports, there's no way. Even if you take out the Enchantress like that, there is no way they can still fight and just take on the team fight coming out of KP. Absolutely no way. So it's a good thing that they rotated out.
Yeah, they're playing this perfectly, though. They put a little pressure on Kaipi. They find a pick-off here or there, and then they back off. Now we'll see an Astral. Doesn't dodge the net, though, and I think still held in position. Doesn't matter. Net's worn off. Now Sing coming in. Torrent's going to miss. The stuns there, not really the best synergy from these three heroes. So, in the end, Kaipi, they'll back off, and while that's happening, Koikfa back to his tricks, pushing the top lane. There's no glyph available, no TP reaction in sight. It's just an Enchantress. Koikfa says, screw it, I'm going for the tower. Scratch that thought. He'll Shadow Blade away instead. Looks like the tier 1 will be denied, but they get a tower while this is happening. Black, BKB's up if he wants it. Now sitting on 3.2k gold and level 11, so starting to hit that point where Razor's power curve really peaks.
Yeah, it's going to be scary for KP in the next fight if they cannot control the Razor. But Eternal Envy is still managing to get a lot of farm in the jungle. He's also picked up that extra level of Greeble Speed ever since the last time we checked up on him. So he's not looking to be in a bad position either. But both teams are kind of just scrambling around the map here and there, looking for farm and pushing out lanes. And yeah, it does turn out to be somewhat of a passive game as well as a stalemate, just because towers itself aren't getting pushed, as both teams very well aware of what the opposition brings.
So I guess we're looking at a passive game, right? So as we head towards the mid game, Mousesports, imagine we'll see them going for the Scythe device on Koikfa and probably on Fata as well. Then they'll have some pretty disgusting pickoff potential.
Oh,
and we'll see an initiation mid. Blink, Vax there, Torn as well, but
Oh,
did he
just
steal
gave
vacuum?
a vacuum.
Did he
Level 4 vacuum.
Oh, wow. Stolen vacuum. That means the familiar stuns could be devastating. The OD ult almost guaranteed at everyone. Now the tier 1 mid gonna fall. Stun being channeled by EE Sama, but he's been thrown back. He's gonna stun himself. Will it be enough trouble? They're trying to engage despite that fact. Bone 7, back in by Syndra, dropping in a hurry. There's your OD ult. Now the boat comes in. The Psalm was there, but it's disabled at exactly the right moment. Brain's too low, but does it end this aggression? BKB for Black doing work. He's got a plasma field soon. Pylai Die juking through the trees. Don't think he gets out of this. There's your torrent. Black ran south. Pylai Die ran north, with the familiars in hot pursuit. And he will go down in the end. An Alk stun thrown in, but Black just not a hero you really want to go on. Kaipi, they just can't seem to get their synergy right in these fights. Mousesports doing a really nice job of disrupting their combo as well.
Yeah, and you know what? Eternal Envy actually has opted for the Shadow Blade, so he wants to fight. He wants to keep up the aggression with his team and have a double Shadow Blade on his team, just ready to take over the entirety of the team fights. But as you said, man, that team fight, that was just a complete lack of coordination coming out of Kaipi. I think Eternal Envy could have very well just thrown a stun immediately on the Rubik. The nice thing about that concussion right now is that it doesn't count the timing as soon as you throw it. It counts the timing including the duration of how long it takes and how long it travels. So if you send it after you just charge it for half a second, if the travel time takes 1.5 seconds, then it will give you that much more extra time. So they would have secured the Rubik kill most certainly. And then they would have done this, right? Like what they're doing at the mid lane right now, which is just follow up with a bolt and kill everything.
Oh, his BKB cooling down at 3 seconds to go. Didn't see how low he was, only caught his corpse hitting the ground, but maybe could have lived if he had it up. That really hurts. For Mousesports, though, I feel like Envy's almost forced into the Shadow Blade because Mouse are doing such a nice job of split pushing, and how do you deal with that otherwise? I feel like they need Eternal Envy there for his stun and his burst damage, else I don't think they can really punish Koikfa, who's just been doing a fantastic job of split pushing and keeping Kaipi on the back foot. And, well, we'll see an engagement mid. There's your net after an X, but no torrent follow-up, and Kaipi will back off. The tier 1 mid is down now, and now you got to be thinking maybe Mousesports are looking towards Roach. They still control their tier 1 mid, so the access for Kaipi into the pit is pretty limited. Not going for it just yet, but if they want to, could be coming soon.
Yeah, but they will most certainly have to look for some pickoffs. I mean, the amount of positional advantage Kaipi gets when Mousesports is found in their pit is just staggering. So I don't think they want to take that fight head on.
Well,
but RTZ does get pinged out, and they spotted the smoke. Has he walked a little bit too far? We'll find out momentarily.
Yeah, they actually smoked up the river, and unfortunately there's a Prophet waiting right here at the jungle camp. Smoke immediately canceled, and, well, Kaipi just haven't really been able to connect on their smoke gank. Some of them just bad luck. Some of them are just great awareness for Mouse backing off, but through a series of unfortunate and just well-played events for Mousesports, they haven't been getting caught out. They started this game 6-1, then they were trailing 7-8, but they bounced back. 11-9 is the score. But the big thing for me is they're executing their draft. They're split pushing, they're finding pickoffs, and they're just not giving Kaipi that big 5-man fight. Sooner or later, maybe Kaipi will find it. That's always the threat when you've got this kind of a lineup, but it's still deferred and delayed for the time being. And interestingly enough, Fata picks up a BKB here, not going for the Scythe device. It's going to make them hard to kill for Kaipi. They don't have that much physical damage yet.
Yeah, I do believe that they're definitely relying on the survivability as well as just being able to muscle through everything that Kaipi throws at them. Of course, Nature's Prophet has also completed his cheap stick, so he's going to be really happy with that pickup. And as you said, man, the solution to Mousesports lineup and just their overall split pushing as well as their ability to take out heroes has gone up off the charts all of a sudden. And KP must be feeling a little bit scared just because the couple of times we've tried to engage over the last couple of times have not been going successfully. And if things go right here, Mousesports, they could just rotate into the enemy jungle. If they get a pick-up or two, this is a guaranteed Roshan.
It's a guaranteed Roche, or maybe just a tier 2 if they want it. They'll find Sane in the jungle. He gets Astraled. Can he get off asleep here? Looks like Mouse, not sure if they want to engage. Familiar stuns in. Stun number 1. Stun number 2. Can't even use the song. Confident micro there from the team. And now Koikva marching forward. Almost found the site, but Bones have been blinking away in the nick of time. They've gotten 1 kill. There is still a Song of the Siren online, though. And Mousesports not wanting to take Roche. They'll go for the tier 2 mid instead. Kaipi, though, without Song, can they actually contest this? Seems like they don't want to.
I do believe they can. I'm actually... These kind of scenarios, I feel like Kunkka should just throw their bolt. I mean, it's a 50 second cooldown thing that it just does ridiculous damage and shuts down pushes. So you could really use it as an illuminate kind of thing. I think it would have really helped the situation. Especially allow Bone 7 to blink in at a perfect time and make everybody get a hit of that bolt. But as it stands, they do want to take it safe and just keep themselves inside their base and allow Eternal Envy to catch up on his farm.
Yeah.
So yeah, the tower does go down.
It's a good point about the Kunkka Ghost Ship. I believe the ult used to have like close to an 80 or 90 second cooldown at the early levels, at least 70. But, I mean, it's 40 when it's max now, so 50 at this point in the game. You really can be fearless about using it. Meanwhile, Envy, Koikva almost picking him off with the Scythe of Vice bottom lane, was 1 hit away from securing the kill. The good news for Kaipi is Mouse didn't get Roche. The bad news, though, is they've lost their tier 2 mid, and Kaipi just feeling a little boxed in at this point. Not that much map control. The lane's always pushing against them. And the thing is, if Mouse don't want to fight, I don't feel like they have to. Kaipi just constantly on the defensive as far as the lanes go, unable to find smoke ganks, not having the best vision to secure kills. Mouse, they don't have to fight if they don't want to, but if they want to take the fights, they've got the double BKB combo, the Scythe of Ice up and the Prophet. They can. So it's like Mouse have multiple ways to play this game. Kaipi relying almost entirely on the 5-man combo right now.
Most certainly. Their options are slowly getting dwindled and just limited as a whole. And Mousesports, they finally just push out the mid lane, see that the bottom is also being pushed out, and decide to go for the Roche. Once again, it's a guaranteed Roche at this point. Kaipi cannot contest it just because they're not in position. And at this point, honestly, even if they were in position, Mousesports would have been so prepared that they weren't going to get caught off guard.
So who do you give this to? Well, scratch that thought. They give it to Fata.
Yeah. He does have the BKB, but
Yeah.
so does Black. And it's more definitely that the OD would be a lot more useful on a second life than the Razor, who probably either loses a lot of the Eye of the Storm duration or his damage. And yeah, it's probably the most efficient decision.
Speaking of Black, unfortunately he's not really getting the farm, but I would love to see that refresher Aghanim's Eye of the Storm.
Oh gosh.
It's like, it gives you epilepsy, but in the best way possible.
It's definitely one of those MLG 360 video worthy stuff. But I do think it's ridiculously powerful. It's just the fact that, once again, the downside is Razor has a really difficult time farming, and his survivability as a whole is tough. And yeah, the smoke gank is coming in.
I'm having flashbacks to TI2, and what a time for it with TI3. Coming soon.
This will be
Sane
perfect.
wrapping around. Surged in. Pops the Son a little bit far out. They haven't spotted him yet. He's caught 2. He's caught 4, but they're really spread out here. Don't know how good this initiation will be. BKB from Eternal Envy. Scratch that thought up. Beautiful. Blake back. Everyone dropping fast. Fata trying to duke it out, looking for a target. He's latched onto Sing. He'll dive into the base. Not really a very successful fight for Mouse. Losing 1. Now driven back. Envy caught in the trees. He will go down. Pos living with like 10 HP. My goodness. Fata lasting through it all. Black is as well. Triple kill for Fata. I mean, that initiation first looked really bad for Kaipi, then looked really good. But Mouse, Aegis, mass BKBs just outlasting them through it.
Yeah, that was definitely the plan. That vacuum wall was splendid, but unfortunately for Bone 7 as well as the rest of Kaipi, Mousesports were quick on the trigger and they were able to just pop off their BKB or just run out of the proximity of the vacuum. So it was just a really nice reaction by Mousesports. But I gotta say, KP were a little bit too hesitant on the action, on the get-go there. I mean, Sing took his time with the Song of the Siren. I believe they were just discussing it over. And the surge kind of came in a little bit late as well. So I do believe that it could have been a lot better for KP if they were just committed to that one act as a whole. But as it stands, 10-15, they lost 3 kills in exchange for 1. Was unable to secure the Visage kill at the end. And most importantly, the Aegis is still up on bottom.
Yeah, so now if they want to go again, they've got plenty of time for it as well. There's still 4 minutes for Mousesports. And I think with this Aegis, you probably look to break the base. Your team definitely gets stronger, and you've still got room to grow, but at this point in the game, Kaipi, they don't have those next items yet. EE just a BKB, Shadowblade Medallion, very mediocre damage output from him. Bone 7, that amazing farm he started with, has slowed down. We've only seen the makings of a Scythe device. He had the first 2 big items at like the 15-minute mark, and in the next 17 minutes, he hasn't even managed to farm up the Scythe device. Meanwhile, Arteezy on the hunt, though. Is he going to look for a big double kill here? He's got the Shadow Blade. He's got a few seconds to make this happen. This could be huge for Arteezy. Can he bring his team back into the game? The dust is there. Oh my god, those spidey senses were tingling by Koikva. Now, maybe they even turn it around. Cinderin latched up by a net. I think he'll go down here in the end. But they dodged what could have been a really bad fight. Now Fatsa surging forward. He's dropped the Astral. He's got an OD ult. No, never mind. Scratch that thought. He doesn't, but doesn't matter. Envy caught in a bad position. An unfortunate Sprout blocking mounts away. Now seeing popping Song to disengage. While that happens, though, Arteezy tries to take the southern route. He pays. He gets picked off. Drops on the Kunkka yet again. Arteezy started this game great in the lanes. Now sitting at 4 and 5. Koikva, though, with a backstab. He's going to find one with the Sprout, blocking off the other 2. Now Envy, self-stunning. There's your Plasma Field. They'll lose 2. They might even lose 3. Envy's still on the run. No way to lock him down for now. And it looks like in the end, they'll only lose 2, but Sync's sticking around top lane. Not sure what the game plan is here. He's even going in on Koikva. There's your Sprout. Sing blocked away. Can't get in close. He wants to find the kill. Won't be able to do so. Now it's Sing running down the river helplessly. Koikva laughs, turns around, and picks him off. That's 3 dead. Kaipi somewhat falling apart here. Really trying to force some aggressive fights. And did they have vision of that smoke gank? Because that was just some amazing dust reactions otherwise by our Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, well, I think one of the reasons why was because Arteezy was chasing, decided to back off for a second and kind of just disappeared off their map. So I think it was actually in anticipation of Arteezy, along with the fact that Eternal Envy just skipped an entirety of the creep wave in order to get to them. So that does paying off really nicely. But as a whole, man, as you said, Kaipi just falling apart. They seemed like they were just inconsistent with their decisions inside the battle as a whole. I mean, Black rotated in, was able to pick up Arteezy. Koifa came in, played a really, really bold and a really cocky play, I would say, but a really successful one. He attacked from the Shadow Blade and was able to sprout and get out while the Alchemist stun was charging. So he secured another kill that way. And Sing going in at the end, getting a little bit greedy, thinking that with the net, he would have enough time to secure a kill on the 300 HP Nature's Prophet. But little did he know that Koipa was prepared, dropped the Sprout in perfect position, and was able to secure enough time for him to get away with the Shadow Blade. Secured the 3rd kill, and all of a sudden, from 10 to 15, 11 to 18 is the score. Once again, Aegis is still up, and as you said, man, this Aegis might allow them to just walk into the base at this point.
Yeah, they've got 3.3k gold on Fatsa, so he's getting close to the Scythe device if he wants it. Black completed Aghanim Scepter. That extra damage against the tower is going to make a difference. Kaipi, do they have a glyph? They do. They have a glyph. They have no Song of the Siren for a full minute. There is a vac wall available. So it'll still be somewhat difficult for Mouse to break the base head on, but they could definitely push in all the lanes. This tier 2 top is not long for this world. And even if they don't break the base now, I think they could do a lot of chip damage. And round 2, well, that'll be really hard for Kaipi to defend. So if Mouse want to go for it, I think they might just be able to, but it is risky to clump even at this stage of the game. If the BKBs are off the mark, if they maybe just get caught out by an Alk stun hitting multiple heroes, then the boat comes through, well, you never know, Clairvoyant. You just never know.
Oh yeah. Especially against the lineup like Kaipi, as you said, anything could happen, and it just takes one split moment of a second for everything to just completely take its toll on the opposite direction. So, as you said, I think the safe way is probably the better option. I do believe that at this point, see, in the early stages when you look at KP's heroes, it would just seem natural to assume that they would transition to the late game better, just by their sheer draft, with the Alchemist assuming that he would get a lot of farm, and Kunkka doing a massive teamfight damage by one right click and getting lucky. But hold that thought, Alchemist at the bottom lane getting pursued out solo. He might actually go down here.
Is he looking for a solo kill? Can he solo kill Eternal Envy? I think he can. He's got an MKB, and EE just melts. Your gods die now, at least for this game. Even gods may bleed. Yeah. Eternal Envy biting the dust here. Not much he can do. I mean, when your Alchemist is a solo kill for the enemy Nature's Prophet, you got some problems. You got some big problems to actually turn this game around.
Yeah, a lot of the pushing dangers that they've been facing up to now is just, it's all been an imminent story. It's gonna come to pass now, especially with the Alchemist down.
Look at the tower. Just Black just melting it apart with his ult. This Eye of the Storm doing so much damage. So much freaking damage. Saying he's got Song of the Siren now. There's a Blink back. There is a Torrent boat combo cooling down soon. They'll force out a Glyph. We'll have to see if Mouse commit fully to this. They do have 5 heroes grouped up in the lane. No Prophet split pushing for now. And Envy's coming back soon. But Mouse, they forced out that Glyph, and I think they want to go for it. They're going in now. Kaipi, this is their moment. This is your time to shine if you're on Kaipi. Let's see if they find that perfect combo. No turret, no boat just yet. There's your song. It's caught 4. They're pretty clumped up here as well. Turret, boat, wall. Look for the vac. It's not in time. Looks like there was a stun of some kind. Couldn't get it off. Nothing really happening to Mouse whatsoever. The ult's been wasted. Fata duking it out, destroying Sing Sing through the illusions. Now Eternal Envy on the run, and it looks like Artesia is going to go down. Pylai die as well. Mousesports just didn't take anything there. I saw the vac went off, but it didn't seem to move anyone. Mousesports just really not affected in that engagement. Now the Rex to fall, and this might be the end for Kaipi in game number 1.
Yeah, when you're a team fight and pretty much your last man stand, or your final stand rather, just goes down like that, and half the enemy's lineup is pretty much just full HP. All of a sudden, man, the transition.
Oh my god,
done.
That was a 4 hero back Alk stun. Oh my god, they're gonna get 2. They might get more. Pass on the run. Black gets a parting kill. However, Koikfa says, let's go. I got this. 1 shot, 1 kill. See ya, Sing Sing. Imagine if Kaipi was not 20,000 gold and experience behind. One combo like that could have easily wiped Mouse, but
yeah,
it might be just too late at this point.
It is, as you say, man. It's really unfortunate that it came to pass at this point. If they had something like that in the previous team fight, they would have not only saved Raxus, but would have probably been in a better position this game as a whole. So, Haas is going to get spotted out on the TP, but his retreat will be secured, as Eternal Envy is going to stun himself out for a second, because he just went the wrong way. And the Aghanim Scepter finished now on Visage. Nothing seems like it can keep Kaipi on an equal footing against Mousesports at this point. Nothing. I'm not too sure if they can fight up against the BKB. And I don't agree with using Song of the Siren as the initiation as a whole at this point. Because the interesting thing with Dota 2 is, just to bring up the play that you're so familiar with, if you ever read anything about what Chuan had to say about that matchup as a whole,
yeah.
In Dota 2, BKB is an instantaneous cast. You can get Song of the Siren, and even if there's like an instant stunner that's coming out on the opposition, your BKB will always trigger before, which is why Light of Heaven that time was able to pop the BKB instantly following up to sleep, and there was nothing to be able to stop it. It does not have an animation, it's instantaneous. You can click it 5 seconds before the sleep even goes off, and it'll still pop as soon as the sleep happens. So it just kind of queues itself up as the priority. And at this point, man, if you just Song of the Siren, you're literally saying, Mousesports, get your BKBs ready. Because every single fight, that's exactly what's happening. All they do is just BKB in response to the Song of the Siren, and it's not being used as a feint. Kaipi are literally dropping every single spell they have, whether it's the wall or the vacuum with the blink, or it's the X or the torrent, or the boat itself, and it's just not getting anything done. So they're literally wasting all of their spells to do absolutely nothing.
It looks nice.
Yeah,
but that's about it.
It's pretty, yeah, sure.
So instead, what you're suggesting is throw out a torrent, blink in and vacuum the enemy team. Throw out a boat, blink in and vacuum the enemy team, or an Alk stun, something that will actually stun them when it hits.
Exactly, the boat would be the best thing. It's just as long as the torrent, and it has a bigger AOE. So even though the follow-up is not there, at least you can start the fight with 500 magical damage plus the vacuum plus the wall as a guarantee, and I think it would have been the best option. But as it stands, they lost the Raxus because they weren't able to pull that to pass. And now, all of a sudden, the second set might be able to go down here.
Yeah, Black had not even bothering with the Eye of the Storm. They take down the tier 3 without it. Now, Envy coming in. They do get a vac off on Fata, but he's still got a BKB. It's the Golden City for Mouse. The OD ult comes through. It might be too much damage. They have taken down that OD, but Black is still reigning supreme. City on plus 273 damage. Yeah, you ain't fighting Black. I don't think you're running from him either. Soul Assumption's there. Cleans up one. Sing just wanted to throw out a net. He'll pay with his life. It's Black going to town. 4 heroes hit the deck, make it 5, and call it a GG. Kaipi, they get smashed in game 1. It looked close through the mid game, but Mousesports run away with it in the end. Final score of this game, 29-14. A 40-minute game, 39-10 to be exact. And Mousesports with, I would say, the harder to execute draft, but made it work.
Most certainly they did, man. I do believe I'm gonna be completely honest with this one. I really felt like this was KP's game to win just as a whole. They had the setup for the team fights, but Koifa just playing a phenomenal Nature's Prophet and Fada being so bold with his rotations was able to secure the kills. It kind of seemed a little bit hazy as Kunkka was doing so well in the mid game or in the early laning phases rather. But he caught up splendidly and was just able to take control of the entirety of the situation. And just to bring out the points, I mean, Paz is sitting here at 9-2. I mean, what can you expect out of Visage, right? He's doing a really good job with just throwing out his nukes. And his bad micro, as you said, we had that moment where he had completely relied on that to just stun up the target. Whether it was Sing
It's Sing Sing,
before the song, before the song of the siren came up. So Mousesports very confident with their capabilities and just executing to the full extent of it.
Well, Clairvoyance, thank you for joining me for game one. I'm actually not sure. Is Lumi here yet? Kawa? Okay, we have no Lumi, so if you want to stick with me, Clairvoyance, you want to cast game two, buddy?
Oh, that's what I do, LD. That's what I do.
All right, fantastic. Well, Clairvoyance, you'll stick with us. Good thing you did, because Lumi, busy giving away all his blood, apparently. I think he might have ran into some vampires instead of the Red Cross. But guys, that will conclude game one. It is game one of a best of three. Loser of this match is eliminated. Kaipi now trailing 0-1. Maybe we're the slight favorites heading into it just based on recent performances. But Mousesports, they take game one. They now are one game away from a guaranteed top four finish in the Corsair Summer Tour 2013. I'm LD. He's Clairvoyance. Stay with us. We'll be right back with game two.